January 2012, 12 students traveled to Cape Town, South Africa. Over the course of a few short weeks, each student experienced ideas of racial constructs, multiple consciousness, and a renegotiation of their identities, whether they realize this or not. Although one class is dedicated to human primate interactions and the other class discussed ideas of post colonial identification, among other things, the effects of apartheid were felt by every student in daily interactions with South Africans, and it also changed the way they viewed basic human freedoms and one another. We all took a journey into the unexpected this past January, and amongst extreme diversity, strong bonds were made that will stay with each of us forever.
What does it mean to be an American? That's a kind of a loaded question, I feel.
A lot of Americans, they feel entitled to things. Is that the word? Like they're entitled to certain things and they should have it and they should have it now.
To be an American, I think it means to be privileged.
I used to think that being an American, you used to be like to be a consumer really, and to be like popular, like your goal in life was to be popular. But then I moved here, and honestly, being an American is like being a hard worker.
The American dream definitely has a color, and that color is definitely white. It has a sex, male. It has a sexuality, heterosexual. It has an age, 25 to 45. It has a profession.
I was told that some people feel that the American dream is being a white male and being a doctor or a lawyer and having a lot of money. I mean, it's not that I find that offensive, but being a white male, none of those are my dream. I just want to be happy and have sustenance. I don't care about a surplus of money.
I was surprised, and in a good way, to see that my notions of South African society being somewhat stricter in the terms of gender were unfounded. I met South African people, and gender and sex labels, yeah, they exist there, they exist in America, they exist all over the world, but it's not as if it were so much in the past. It's just a different kind of negotiating of sex.
I had heard of things, you hear of Africa and you hear the crazy things that are going on in the world, but to be in a different place and actually experience it is so different.
Expected more of like the typical African, like jungles everywhere and animals running. I didn't really expect a big city like Cape Town, even though I did Google a little bit about it. I guess that was just ignorant on my part because I wanted it to be more like a jungle scene.
One thing that struck me as really strange or like really uncomfortable at times during the classroom is one of the earlier readings that Professor Shepard gave us, and it was addressed the race system and how they classify them into different races, which is weird because being a biology student, like we classify species into different species, but we don't do that to people by race or by geographical area, which seems to be what race is really. But like it was really uncomfortable, like having Arlene speak about how like the racism she encountered, segregation, and how she went through such a difficult time. And like living in America and in New York, never having facing that, and it's just so weird, and it's so difficult to like empathize with her, and I felt terrible. I can't imagine myself having to go through that. I mean, just learning about it was enough. I can't imagine dealing with it. It just sounds tragic.
I thought it was interesting the way that people were profiled in South Africa and how it was kind of like a caste system. And one thing that stuck in my head was when I think it was Arlene told Jason that he would have been considered colored if he lived in South Africa because of his hair and the complexion that he has. And I'd never look at him and think that he was colored coming from America. So it's funny how the standard for what being a colored person is so different.
As Steve Biko said in one of his literature, he said, in order for us black people to be liberated, our mind has to be decolonized. And I 100% agree with that statement. Only because in America, I feel like the African Americans here, our minds are colonized.
My race may have been renegotiated because, rather South Africa has a term for multiracial people, and it's colored, and it means very specific things.
This whole being colored thing, being colored, being black, being white, made me realize how close to my Haitian identity I am.
But for me here, black became like an identity, and for me, black is not an identity. I identify more as Haitian or American or as a woman.
When I first started high school, a couple of my friends were like, oh, where are you from? So I'm like, I was born here, but my parents are from the Caribbean. So they're like, oh, no wonder you have that nice hair. So I was like, what does that mean? And they're like, oh, black people don't have that type of hair. So I'm like, I am black. They was like, no, you're that different kind of black. I'm like, what's the different kind of black? They was like, you're just not African American, you're Caribbean black, I guess. So I always had a problem with that. I just think anyone who's from African descendant should be considered black, not American black or Caribbean black. Once you're from Africa, you're African, period.
Of course, I've been discriminated against. People have looked down on me. I've been in classes where I'm the only black girl, and when I say something smart, everybody's like, oh my God, you're really smart.
I remember I went to talk to a professor about being like a math major, and then, well, I am a woman and I am black, so I don't know. And he was like, are you sure you want to do this? Are you sure you can do this? And I feel like that's the underlying thought that all African Americans are faced with, because they don't ever really know why are people not expecting much of me? Is it because of my performance, or is it because of my color?
Going to South Africa helped me understand my roots and where I'm from, and what my ancestors went through, and how they were taken from their home and their land, brought to America and colonized. So I feel the only way for us to be liberated, as Biko said, is to decolonize our mind. And I feel that's going to take years and years of work. So I don't know if it's possible.
It's a double consciousness of, knowing English, knowing Spanish, eating American food, eating Latino food. Or
I came to the realization that a Haitian consciousness and an American consciousness could coexist as one in my particular unique situation.
I think it's enriching to have this dual consciousness.
One of my favorite experiences while I was in South Africa was actually a day that I went skateboarding. We met in Cape Town and took a train. And they didn't tell me until we were already on the train and after my ticket was already purchased that Mitchell Plain is one of the worst areas in South Africa. They told me that there's a lot of gang violence, a lot of robberies, a lot of muggings and rapes.
The most memorable experiences was visiting the townships. And I know that's only one picture of South Africa, but that to me hit really close to home, because the townships are a lot alike to the places in Haiti.
So when I was in South Africa, I was just comparing and contrasting to both Jamaica and America, and it was pretty interesting. I've learned a lot. I kind of found myself right in the middle of both.
I was incredibly surprised because all the people that I met were some of the nicest people that I've ever met.
Seeing that, it made me feel like, oh my God, this is little Haiti, or it made me connect so much to the people, and to see the poverty and to see the struggles. It reminded me of my own family struggling.
People would stop their cars and get out while we were skating and just watch us, take pictures with us and of us. Kids would flock around us, mass amounts of kids, and they were trying on my helmet and trying on my gloves and playing with my skateboard.
I identified with a lot of people there. They was always welcoming. Hi, how are you? Where you're from? Have you been here before? Come again. Whereas when I was with Natalie or so, they weren't so welcoming to her. I guess they kind of give her an attitude for some reason. I'm not sure, but I felt loved down there. I felt like I was welcome.
While I was skating in Mitchell's Plain, I quickly got the nickname White Mike because apparently I was the first white person that the people on, I think it was called, actually I don't remember the street name, but I was the first white person on that street in what the locals said was about 2 years. They haven't seen any other white person. It was really cool because they thought that that was a great thing, that I was willing to come out there and skate, and just skateboarding as a whole kind of just transcended that racial, typical clashing of the races that you encounter in so many places down there. And it just brought us together. We had nothing in common. We've never met before, and I felt like I knew some of these people for years.
No matter where you are, you're going to find connections with people. No matter what you are, a woman, a man, a Haitian, an American, a South African, you still have these similarities. And when you meet people, you see their struggle, you see their passions, and so you connect with them.